Conrad is the best. Welcome back to the TI4 China Qualifiers presented by Monster. My name is Sensfun, joined by whatever my name is, joined by Cinderin. We got HGT versus LGD. Let's get into the ban and pick phase immediately, Conrad.
Ooh.
I'm looking at you, Conrad.
I am excited.
Change it to the in-game right now, Conrad. Please. Please. Okay,
Awesome.
Here we go. He can't handle the pressure. First bands coming out are going to be Lycan and Trian, along with Ancient Apparition and Batrider, which leaves a few decent heroes in the pool. But OD is the first pick
Yes, that's what
out of
got me
HGT,
excited, actually.
along with the
I'm
Centaur and
excited
vote for LGD.
What has the game
Yeah,
done?
what has happened to you, Cinder?
Yeah.
Did that last game just tarnish your soul or something?
I'm just happy to see something different. I think this got picked, banned against HGT by another team yesterday, actually, in the first phase even. I don't remember the exact game, but I have seen OD banned in this tournament. The other qualifiers pretty much ignored it completely, but some teams in China seem to be playing a really mean OD. It's of course a great laner against a hero like Invoker. We're going to see if LGD actually wants to try to play that laner, if they put something else against the OD, or if he doesn't even go mid and play safe lane. The thing about OD as an early pick is that it's a very one-dimensional hero, and it cannot offlane in any sort of way, and it cannot aggressive tri-lane well either.
Right.
So you know that he's either going to be mid or safe lane, and you can start drafting around it. And LGD's approach to that is we get an early rotating aggressive support, so we can start pressuring OD whether he's in the safe lane or in mid. We want to pressure.
Pugna and Daz are going to be the bans for LGD, along with Murata for HGT. Can you explain the Pugna ban? Now, like I said last game, when I see a Pugna ban, I think Sand King, but it's also obviously a great pusher. But HGT's not showing any interest in pushing, at least with the first two heroes. Is it, I guess, a good anti-pushing hero, obviously, to some degree at least, or at least an anti-team fight hero? But if anything, it would work for LGD's lineup.
That's true. It's a good hero for both teams. He's good together with OD because of the OD aura, so you can just keep nether blasting towers. So
Yeah,
it's a good sieging strategy, but wouldn't necessarily have been what HGT actually wanted to go for here. So I'm a little surprised to see LGD banning it out, to be honest. But
I'm surprised by the Razor ban because obviously it's good against OD solo, but you have to assume that Invoker's going to be against OD.
not necessarily.
Unless you want the OD in the farming lane, you put somebody else in mid.
Or Invoker plays safe lane, you put Razor mid.
Okay.
LGD can move around.
There's
those
still some good
positions as well.
heroes though. I think Lone Druid's pretty good, Viper, and I'd put Kunkka on the list.
Kunkka's
against,
decent.
good against
he still
OD.
loses, but he can do okay,
I mean, OD's like the ultimate 1v1 hero, obviously.
apart from Viper. But as Fear says, Viper tends to win the lane by a bit, and then
Or in
not
other words,
necessarily
is garbage.
in most games, you would prefer having the 50 CS on an OD with a Midas rather
Right.
than a Viper with a mech. That's
Right.
just how it is. So I think the times when you run a Viper mid and it's successful, it's because you have a very clear plan with your strategy. Then it's a good pick if you can put the mech to use, if you can siege towers early. But if you only pick Viper to win the lane, that's not good enough. He needs to really fit in a mid-game kind of strategy. Speaking of which, we've got a Brewmaster
A
here
Brewmaster.
coming out for HGT.
Love that.
Oh,
now
and
the
maybe they're gonna now it's a toss up between the lanes. It's really hard to say how they want to put this now, and
Yeah, that's
LGD
true.
can't necessarily draft against it directly.
Yeah, Invoker versus Panda or Invoker versus OD. Either way, decent matchup for HGT, I think. But right now, LGD. I mean, you have to assume the. Do you want to get hooked up?
I was just saying CSMJ usually plays safe lane.
Oh, ZSMJ plays safe lane Panda?
okay.
Okay, so that is an opportunity, or sorry, a
Well,
possibility they have.
Do you want to cast? Do three? Yeah, like 3 men. Hey, can we get Fear? Mic up. Let's do this, Conrad. Get a tri-cast going.
All right,
All right, here we go. Welcome, Fear. Welcome to the amazing
you very much.
broadcast.
And it gets
Talk
silent.
something. I was taking a sip from my Coke. I figured somebody would talk.
Yeah,
today.
anyways, like I've seen HGT run this lineup before where they do the OD mid. CTY does play that. They have ZSMJ run that safe laning Panda. So they have all three cores right here now, and I'm not sure how I feel about that.
It is true. It's something you can easily draft into now for LGD. The one thing that they can't be sure about is how the lanes are put, but they know the last 2 picks for HGT will be supports. So you can start banning this as support. It's the 5th ban. You can start planning around whether you want to play aggressive on that. You can consider, okay, what are the supports that have good synergy with the heroes that HGT have, because generally you pick the supports early on, or at least one of them, so it's a little less easy to figure out. But right now they can be like, okay, Shadow Demon is probably going to be great for HGT, sets up for Centaur, it's a way of keeping Brewmaster alive, he gets silenced. It's a secondary disruption together with OD. Not too bad,
I
maybe
feel
not
like
too good
Rubik
either.
would be great for LGD.
Yes,
Obviously, we talked about
that's true.
being able to steal a Brewmaster's ult very easily.
Stampede.
And something, and Stampede as well. But speaking of Stampede, like we figured out yesterday for sure it does work with the Panda Spirits. So that's actually pretty ridiculous if you think about it. And there's the Rubik. So
Good call.
thank you, Cinder. I really appreciate that.
I'm impressed.
So this lineup so far, you would assume Rubik's going to be set up with somebody else. Even though I'd love to see a farming Rubik, we saw who was it?
Bambo.
Bambo. That was ridiculous.
Bambo, yeah, with the Aghanims.
Yeah.
Rubik is also good. You can steal the Panda Ultimate. That's very, very important. He's able to get it off. But I'm not sure what they're going to grab to counter Panda. It feels like Panda has had such a huge impact on the Chinese team, and not many teams. I see Doom get picked a lot to try and counter it, but it has very minimal effect.
And the question is if LGD are after that game were like, that wasn't really a good Doom game. If
Yeah.
they... I think the better team, or a really strong team in that case, will be able to just separate the two games and be like, okay, that just wasn't a Doom game, but this one will be.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with Doom being a decent pickup here. Of course, the thing is, if you play into Hyperglory team's lineup and you don't have a very long disable on the Brewmaster, like I'm talking not necessarily Doom, but one stun or silence isn't going to cut it because he just gets astraled, so you can't bring him down. Then he comes
true.
out and he can split.
Stampede too.
Stampede can take him away as well, as long as it is not a full hard lockdown stun. If it is just a silence, he can just run away. So I like the way Hyperglory team are going with this draft so far. The question is, are they going to get the supports they need? They have to make a decision soon. 10 seconds on the clock. They're going to get Venge.
Ooh.
Finally, a bit of Venge. I think this hero is underpicked. I personally love to see it played. Gives a lot of mobility in the fights, and of course, that's a targeted stun. And
Well, that's another mechanism for Brewmaster to get off his
Yes.
ult. I mean, he's probably going to be getting Arcane Boots because he's going against an EMP Invoker, which we're just going to assume at this point. But if he gets caught out, just swap him out, and he'll have time to pop his ult again. Weaver's going to be picked for LGD. So slowly but surely seeing this tri-lane come to fruition. And I guess all they need is an offlane, which, since they're Radiant, could be pretty much any hero.
could also be an aggressive tri-lane for LGD, with Rubik Weaver plus an aggressive Enchantress. Depending on the last support for HGT, you can get away with that. Won't really be... It's not too easy right now being either team draft-wise, I think. The Weaver is okay. I don't think it was an amazing pickup. It's good. But of course you have to deal with the Magic Missile. When Centaur gets a Blink, you have the Blink, Hoof Stomp Initiation, and overall those carry... It's one of the carry heroes that gets a Scythe. So that's another counter to Weaver. So I think as far as early game goes, it's okay for LGD, but Hyperglory team's mid-game to me is just way superior right now, if they manage to get to that stage with a lead.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Right now, they look really scary within the late game and mid game. LGD has to get so much done early game. It's unbelievable.
What do you guys think about trialing for HGT? Who's going to be... Is it going to be the OD, or is it going to be the Brew?
I think they could.
It's going to be Brewmaster, almost
Yeah.
certain. CSMJ will play that.
It would be great to see Centaur, though.
Oh, Disruptor! That's the last pick.
Yeah,
They have so much team fight. This is actually ridiculous. They can't actually fight them ever mid game, I don't think.
No.
That actually would have been a pretty good pick against Brew, at least to some degree. Obviously, the swap is there, so maybe not matter too much. But yeah, you're right. They have good team fight. They have. How are their lanes setting up, though? Do you think they have a strong tri lane?
Who? Which team?
HGT.
Yeah, they're going to have the Brewmaster, Venge, Disruptor. That's a very strong tri-lane. Centaur in the off lane, and then throwing that OD mid. So they've got really strong lanes right now.
Do you feel like they go aggressive with their tri lane and put Centaur top? To perhaps get a little bit more levels in farm, more consistency.
I think that's
It's-
too high risk, low
yeah.
reward, isn't it?
With that Weaver, it's kind of hard to go aggressive against Weaver.
So LGD, they have their tri lane set up. They have their, in all likelihood, mid invoker. But again, it's going to be against that OD. That's going to be a rough lane either way. And they just need this last pick for the off lane. What are you guys thinking here?
I think what you do now if you're LGD is that you don't try to pick team fight, because I think you want to not be playing HGT's game, so that approach is not good. Maybe you try to split push a little bit here, which is also going to be hard against Disruptor. I think he just made that a lot harder. They're going to get Lifestealer, which is decent against Centaur, but they kind of counter each other, right? Lifestealer hits really hard on the Centaur, but Stampede is a great counter to open wounds. I'm not seeing LGD's draft right now, to be honest.
Me
I'm
either.
not feeling it. I think they have to win the early game, like we talked about. They don't just have to win the early game. They kind of have to run over it, because they don't have a mechanism for ending the game. They don't have great pushers. Sure, they can have decent lanes, but their mid game is kind of lackluster. As far as the lanes go, OD is going to have a great time. CTY is a phenomenal OD player, by the way. So, can we all are we all agreeing here, just from a draft standpoint, advantage HGT just because of how much LGD needs to do?
Yeah, I think in a major way, HGD just has a much more well-rounded lineup than LGD has here.
Well, either way, the God, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, that's right. The Lifestealer bomb, I suppose, is one thing to keep in mind, but it's. I mean, the Weaver doesn't really want to fight that early either. I don't know. This
What
is
are they
gonna
going to bomb with? Weaver?
Oh, that's the only thing I can think of. Unless you get the Invoker Ghost Walk going again, that was pretty good. Not at all, actually.
That was actually HGT doing that. It's kind
That's
of
right.
funny. That's the team
Well,
I'm playing
taste of
against.
their own medicine. So we're going to see a smoke here from HGT. We might actually have some level 1 engagement here. Who has the advantage here?
Should let the Venge run in front here so she can get the magic
There you
missile
go.
off. But they let Weaver go first. This is a smart play from LGD. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
And
But
they avoid each other. That's truly unfortunate.
HGT's level 1, easily stronger than LGD's. Enchantress is awful level 1 unless she has a creep. Invoker, garbage tier, level 1 fighter. Rubik, lackluster. So, yeah, that would have been a fight for HGT.
So what you're saying is you really like LGD's lineup overall.
For a level 1 fight?
For
No.
level 1 and throughout the game, apparently,
Definitely.
because you just gave...
Their early game, I think, to me, this is the game where Enchantress has to perform. If DD does not play a good early game, I have HGT winning this game. I know it's a very strict way of looking at it and a very like absolute statement, but just looking at the draft, it seems like Enchantress has to be a big playmaker. Rubik is not the best playmaker on the very early levels most of the time, so Enchantress has to get the job done here, and because of that, HGT realized that they're going to drop 3 wards in the Radiant jungle. And I believe we did not introduce either of the team's players yet,
Nope.
did we? So, okay, let me quickly start doing that. We've got HGT, as Fear predicted. ZSMJ will be playing safe lane farming Brewmaster. We've got S playing as Disruptor. Pretty haw on the Vengeful Spirit. Towards the mid lane, it is going to be CTY playing OD versus Invoker. He's going to be really happy with that. And finally, XTT, Centaur off lane. Not so good on the Dire as on Radiant, but maybe the lane he's up against, he can actually get stuff.
Well, he has a double damage, so nothing to scoff at for sure. But of course, against 2 range, not a whole lot he's going to be able to accomplish here. But for LGD, we have DDC on the Rubik, Rabbit on the Weaver, DD, I was going to say Tabao, but it's DD playing the Enchantress here in the jungle. And Lin on his Invoker mid, and top lane solo, which it's so funny to see. And we talk about how the Radiant has the advantage with the off lane, and we're seeing a Lifestealer by Yao in the off lane. I mean, think about this a couple patches ago. It's just unheard of.
It was something that used to be done about a year ago. This was more
Yeah.
common,
It has been done before.
but it faded away. And
So unheard of.
I'm just really surprised that LGD picked a Lifestealer to do this.
It's pretty
Yeah.
greedy.
Why would you pick a Lifestealer at this point with this draft? Sure, if the enemy team didn't have great team fight or anything, or mid game, maybe you can get away with running this kind of greed. But I think the Lifestealer we talked about probably shouldn't have been a team fighter, because they might have still lost the team fights just to HGD's brute force. But
yeah,
I feel like there was maybe a better choice.
I think they were just panicking to get a hero on the off lane that could also scale into late game, because they already had the 3 late game cores already with the Panda. It's not the greatest late game. Centaur OD is going to be a problem though. So their options are limited, and I think they just kind of forced it.
Well, who else would they pick against, like a combination from a Disruptor once he's level 2? A glimpse into Kinetic Field. Who else can get away from that? Because obviously Rage is a great counter initiation, if you want to call it that.
I don't know if there's anything else that could get away from it. I was thinking they might go for the Nature's Prophet and just try to pressure really early with Enchantress and get the tower advantage. I think that would have been a much better pick here than Life.
Mid lane,
Oh,
DDC
DDC
with the invis.
might be able to pick
Telekinesis,
something
1
here.
second cooldown. Lin needs
You
to be
can
careful.
go for it.
He has 2 points in Quas and 1 in Exort. He doesn't have a spell.
But he does have right clicks, Cinderin.
It's not enough.
It's not enough, Cinderin. So a little bit
Thanks
of
for
misplay.
your inputs on
This was
Sam.
just like the last game. Exactly like the last game. Remember, Invoker was level 1. They couldn't do
Yeah,
anything.
this is exactly like last game, only that this is totally different and Invoker was level 3.
No, Invoker was... What?
Yes, he didn't have a spell.
Oh,
That's
he's
the
level
thing.
3 and doesn't have a spell?
Yes.
What the hell? Why? Why? I'm so confused.
Yeah, that was what surprised me a little bit as well. But CTY is going to stay alive. He will send out the bottle here.
Well, in a way, it's just like last game. He didn't have a spell. What's the difference, you know?
Yeah,
For all intents and purposes.
I agree. I just like disagreeing with you. That's
Oh.
makes it more entertaining. There's the rotation. Enchantress will be getting the job done. Here.
Courier's there, but they're going to go for CTY. Probably a wise choice. He does Astral himself, but it's only going to prevent the inevitable.
Oh, he bottled meanwhile.
He bottled a little
But-
bit, but it's not going to be enough. So first blood going the way of Enchantress, so nice rotation. You're talking about how very important this hero is in this game, especially with their lineups, the lineup composition and whatnot, and they're able to secure first blood.
And this is classically Invoker just loses the lane to OD, but if he can get a decent start and start getting Forge Spirit, he can actually do okay against OD, because the way OD beats intelligence heroes is of course just by astraling it a couple of times, then you'll have like a 20 damage or 25 damage advantage, but the Forge Spirit can negate that, so it's like even again. And we're going to see Lin making use of that almost certainly here. I would be very surprised if he doesn't skill Forge Spirits as his next, or just prepare that and start using it, because that is going to be the way he can fight against the OD toe-to-toe here.
We have a smoke in the mid lane yet again. So it's going to be a gank attempt, this time for HGT. And Invoker, they're going to have to set it up with, well, they could set it up with an Astral, I suppose.
Yep.
They're going to have to dive. Are they going to be TPs is the question. LGD, doesn't look like it's going to be the case. Well, Hoof Stomp's there. Not able to do a whole lot else other than that, but the right clicks are going to be enough. The Cold Snap was almost enough to actually prevent the Hoof Stomp, but alas, it's going to be a 1-for-1 overall in the grand scheme of things. So CTY's back in the mid lane with, what is he, 15-4 versus 14, so it's still very even overall, but of course, no ganks. If there's no ganks, OD's going to just dominate this lane overall.
I think from now on it's going to be even, to be completely honest. Oh, he just got a DD. So he's going to win the next 2 waves.
Oh, we have another smoke.
Yeah.
So
mid lane is
gank
where it's
happy
at.
here.
And speaking of that, the safe lanes are just farming, but Weaver's doing a little bit better than Brewmaster. He's getting very good farm. Here we go,
the Cold
CTY.
Snap, TP's here. Astral Prism actually dodging the nuke from the tomato. Sunstrike going to miss for now. Actually, Telekinesis a little bit too late, actually. Glimpse is here. A lot of TPs for HGT, and Aruba's going to go down.
Oh my
right
god,
clicks are
he's
here.
hitting hard.
CTY still has Astral. Can use it on Invoker.
They're going to go with Venge Stun here.
Well, VS is here for sure.
No.
Not in range for the magic missile, unfortunately, but you're right. CTY just dealing absolute work with that DD.
This does open up the top lane a little bit for Yao. He realizes that the support's rotated mid, so he will get some experience. And be level 5 here in Lifestealer at 5.5, I think, is okay. He only has 8 CS, though, and the thing about Lifestealer is this hero is really underwhelming without farm. So playing it as an offlane hero, for that reason, is also going to be a problem that we didn't really address. It's not only about his impact in the game, but about the hero's design in general, the way he works. So I'm curious to see how Yao is going to impact this game with the Lifestealer. At least he has the 5.5 minute phase boots, which I think he can be pretty satisfied with, all things considered. We're going to have Rabbit with 6 minute Midas on the Weaver.
It's
So as far
massive
as
stack
farm goes,
here.
I guess LGD are okay, but Fear, is this enough for now?
No, I don't think so. I think HGT is having way too good of a start right now. The Enchantress, you're saying, I think she's so important to this game. She has to get so much done, and they haven't been getting enough done early game. I don't feel like they've been getting far enough done. Maybe getting a push on this bottom tower is what they need, but they need to get towers and they need to put the pressure on, and they need to do it now.
Well, they are going to group up. Enchantress just about to hit level 4. Of course, they don't have the greatest pushing lineup, but it'll suffice, especially with the Enchantress. I mean, it's good enough. Actually, neither team really has the greatest pushing lineup, but this tier 1 tower looks like it's going to go unopposed. HGT giving it up, although they have some reinforcements coming. The fortifications popped. Perhaps trying to get a surprise deny with this smoke. They don't really have a whole lot of initiation because the Stampede's not up, and, well, they're just going to give it up.
At the very least for HGT, that one got destroyed by the Radiant, so no bonus gold going the way of the Weaver, who we would expect to take that. And now actually DD could be in trouble here.
Howl of Terror. He's going to heal himself, but there's the Hoof Stomp. Do they have enough damage to actually take him down? Magic Missile along with the double edge. Here we're seeing Sunstrike on ZSMJ. Tabao, or DD I should say, on the run. Continuing to heal himself. Enchantress got a kill on Disruptor with his creep, apparently.
Yeah, he's going to die for it.
Awesome. Well, it's going to be worth it for him at the very least. He takes another Magic Missile to the face, and double edge, along with the right clicks from Centaur, are going to be enough to take him out. So a 1-for-1 in the end. ZSMJ taking a little bit of harassment damage, but Rabbit's going to be forcing his way out.
Yeah, LGD forced down the Brewmaster here, so I think overall I don't want to say this was a clear victory for them because it was a one-on-one exchange on kills, but considering the Brewmaster port at bottom, that could have gone worse. And the most important thing is Yao gets a free lane. The Lifestealer needs space, he needs the farm. And if they can force rotations from the Brewmaster, that's going to give Yao space. The question is, when does he pay it back?
Is that a rhetorical question? Ask Fear.
That was an actual question.
I mean, he's actually getting a lot of farm, so he's probably not going to go for a greedy Midas build. I really doubt he will. I think he'll probably go into the phase drums, into the armlet. And if he does get enough farm up, this Weaver does have a Midas. They do have a good shot in the mid game, especially Invoker going Exort as well. I was very curious to see if he would be going Exort or
Oh, he's going.
Quaswex.
Okay.
If you do go Quaswex, I think in this situation you lose like right away, just given the nature of the lineups. So I think they still have a good shot. Getting that early tower, forcing the Brewmaster down, opening space up for Lifestealer is a step in the right direction for them.
Lifestealer is going to be surrounded a bit here from HGT. He does not have Infest, but it doesn't look like he's going to need it. No Glimpse.
He just rages.
Of course,
the
the
Glimpse.
Rage is there. Always there for for the lifestealer. He's going to get forced out of lane from XTT, but are you a little bit surprised that he... I guess the phase boosts were necessary in this lane just to avoid certain death in a lot of situations, but I feel like considering that you're talking about he's not going to be getting a ton of farm, although he's doing okay, all things considered, a Midas. Is it too late for a Midas?
I think he should have had it with brown boots, if that was the case, because else it's going to be too late. And when we talk about HGT's mid-game presence with their team, if Lifestealer cannot fight, their chances of winning those fights are like almost zero.
Oh,
gonna see
CSMJ.
He does have split if he needs to. He will.
He's going to pop
it.
Wow! They're going to continue the chase now on DD, but... Oh, actually...
Tornado?
Yeah, the Tornado Panda is pursuing, as Rabbit's going to take out this tower.
Got you.
He's going to take a stun to the face, Astral Imprisonment, and the deny is there. But Rabbit... Well, actually, they do have a sentry. Wasn't aware of that.
Oh!
DSMJ almost goes down, but the right clicks along with Thunderclap
look at the
secure
sentry's
the kill.
range. It can see up to here, and Weaver got hit here.
That's
that
pretty
was
sick.
like just on the edge of that. Rabbit decided to go for the kill, a little bit greedy there. I can understand why he got tempted to do that, but CSMJ, of course, with that guaranteed crit.
Gotta love it. Actually, I want you guys, both of your guys' thoughts. What you... I know Cinderans, but you might as well say for the stream. Your thoughts on that change to Panda? If you like I know what people think now, but originally when you read it, did you think it was actually a big deal?
Yeah, I thought it helped him a lot, especially in the laning phase. But when you pop out of the primal split as well, you have that guaranteed crit. So I think it is a big change to him. I think the bigger change was the ultimate cooldown, but I think that was definitely a really significant change to Panda.
Wait, was the cooldown this patch
Not
as well?
this patch. That
was it last patch?
1 or 2 ago.
But I agree. That was probably
no
the
one
biggest...
picked him, so I just assumed
that
it was
was
this patch.
that was the most surprising thing that he wasn't picked based on that.
Yeah.
'Cause that was a huge change. You're right.
Yeah.
Tier 1
and
tower.
of course, the other thing about that is how it allows you... Well, let's see. I think this tower's just going to go down. They can't
Yeah,
defend
no
that, so.
Stampede yet, so...
The other thing is that Brewmaster, the first point in Drunken Brawl is a sick value point now, compared to what it used to be, because, of course, that 10-second effect with the guaranteed dodge and crit is independent of level. So you have that no matter what, and that means in some matchups where you want to actually level Drunken Haze, you can keep 1 point in Brawler, because you know you get the crit, you know you get the dodge, and then you can start valuing Haze. So that's the main thing about that.
CSMJ
Rabbit
does not have his ultimate. He's going to take an Infest Bomb. Sunstrike trying to TP out, but alas, it will not be there. So he falls. LGD now coming back 3-4. Advantage still HGT. They did take the Tier 1 tower top, of course, and that courier is awesome. That's a... What is that? It's not really a butterfly. It's just a caterpillar with wings. Like a butterfly, it's a little bit less fat, I feel like. It's less fat. But whatever the case may be, it's a pretty sick courier. I like
It
that.
actually looks a lot like a purple Venomoth. Purple-orange Venomoth.
So Lifestealer did get his Midas. I wasn't even going to buy it. 3 Midases. Thank you, Zyari, for pointing that out. I did not notice. That's actually pretty ridiculous.
Yeah. One thing we didn't mention too much about HGT's lineup as well, they don't have much counter push. So if you do apply a lot of pressure, they just have to like fight right away, or else they can't just counter push lanes out because they have no real spam abilities and like Wave of Terror, maybe Panda Clap, but they kind of have to get close for that.
Well, they do have good team fights, so if they can catch them out, of course, a lot of it depends on Centaur having his ult, which he's not even level 6 yet, having his Blink, along with Brewmaster, and Vengeful Spirit having Swap. Once those things come online, it'll be a little bit more difficult for LGD, but they're doing a good job of taking advantage of them not having the levels right now, I feel.
I think ZSMJ made the wrong call going Arcane Boots in this game. I think delaying the Blink Dagger has cost them a little bit of opportunity in this game, where they could have taken fights with a Blink. This was the classic build you would get earlier, and sure, he is safe lane, so he will be getting good farm, but this is going to be a 13-minute blink.
Astral Imprison into a Static Storm. Rabbit, goodbye. Beautifully done. Of course, it's going to catch out the Vengeful Spirit, but they'll take that trade any day of the week. We haven't really talked about Astral Imprisonment as the initiation into a kinetic field disruption, or not disruption, static.
That's true.
storm.
That's a really legit combo. You can't rage out of that, for example, so might be able to kill Yao because of that. It kind of... You could say that the way that sets up is... Oh, never mind. Not a good point. So, 4 towers...
Please, continue.
Shut up! 4 towers have been taken by LGD, so the Enchantress needed to get work done. She did get work done, so LGD are looking pretty good. They've got 7,500 gold and 5,000 experience. That was the type of sizable lead they needed to get from the draft. And they've executed, so we were favoring HGT based on draft if the early game didn't go well. LGD has managed. Now they can perhaps just... Because of that big of a lead, the 3 Midases could work out.
Bottom lane Stampede is pop, but it's not going to be enough. And, oh, actually, somehow the Hoof Stomp range is there, but Rabbit's going to continue pressure. He's going to get the kill. And here comes the actual team fight. ZSMJ showing off that newly picked up Blink Dagger. He absolutely destroys the Rubik. And here's the swap. Seeing all these important spells come back online. Glimpse after the Shikuchi was used. Rabbit, whatever you want to call it.
The rabbit.
ZSMJ is there to finish him off. So it's a 2-for-1 at the end of the day. And HGT is definitely happy with that. They started off not too loud. The Stampede was kind of wasted, but
they need collateral. It's good to get some kills, but they're playing against triple Midas. You need to get towers, you need to get map control. Else, LGD, with their early game advantage with triple Midas, they can play greedy because it worked out so well for them. So these Midases will easily pay for themselves in about 10 minutes. And HGT, we talked about teamfight mid-game presence. Late game, LGD has both a Knife Stealer, who will be getting a lot of farm now. They have a Weaver and Invoker, all three with Midases. They can fight an OD in late game easily,
so
and the Brewmaster will fall off.
As Rubik steals the Hoof Stomp. Keep in mind, what was it Ryzen again? I just assume every Rubik that we saw that was played well was Ryzen, but the initiation from Panda. Every time he'd blink in, he'd get telekinesis before he can do anything, and that's just watch out for that, I suppose, because if he's going to try for the Thunderclap.
Oh!
Big plays. Ooh. Big pause here. So
ACSMJ, wait a minute. If you blink now, you're going to get telekinesis.
Fear, can you give us some analysis on this pause and the benefits for each team?
Oh, too late. It's already over.
That's right away. ZSMJ looking for... Oh, the drum's going to be popped, though, so should be enough move speed to help LGD on their way home. But the Necronomicon level 1 picked up on Invoker. And I believe that's the first drum charge we've seen used in the past 2 games, if I'm not mistaken.
We're going to keep returning to that.
I have to. Hey, actually, I love Black, personally. I love that guy. He's a super nice guy, so it's no hate intended, of course. 4 staff now on OD. And, well,
I think they're in a really rough spot now. I think that Lifestealer got way too much in that offlane. He got way too much. It's 15 minutes in. He has drums, he has a Midas and phase boots. And when we were looking at the lineups, we're like, okay, this Lifestealer's probably not going to get too much in the offlane. And he free-farmed that offlane because of the rotations. And I couldn't agree with Cinder more. Like, that Blink had to be rushed by Panda here. If they don't have that Blink initiation, they can't defend a single tower. And they've lost, what, 4, almost all their towers, and they only have 2 left. And they're going to go for more.
Smoke here by LGD, but HGT seems to be aware of it, or at least have the spidey senses tingling quite a bit, because they are playing quite passive. XTT would have been caught out if it was about 5 seconds early. He's actually getting pretty close to his Blink Dagger, so keep that in mind as a very important pickup for HGT. It's going to help their initiation quite a bit. And CSMJ, only seen 1 ultimate so far, and of course the level 1 ultimate is very underwhelming. I guess you guys would probably agree with that, right?
It's
to an extent. Yeah, I mean, at this stage of the game, yes. But when he does get it early on, it's really hard to deal with. But if he doesn't get a level 11 very quickly, it will fall off as well. Especially against heroes like the Lifestealer too.
Oh, he is going to go for it.
Glimpse, kinetic field. DD pops his heal, so it's going to take a little bit more damage to clean him up. But not really going to matter too much because the rest of his team is not even close to him. So they're just going to leave him to rot in the dire jungle. So 8-5 HGT's favor.
Still so far behind on gold. But at least the graph is evening out. It's been going in LGD's favor the whole time. Experience dipping a bit, now 2,500. I think this comes down to now Brewmaster getting level 11, so he has the stronger split. Getting a couple of team fights where they start taking a collateral with a tower or something. And then CTY. We haven't talked too much about how good Sanity's Eclipse is in this game. Lifestealer has terrible intelligence. Weaver has terrible intelligence. Invoker's is okay, especially when he goes Exhort. He has 10 extra intelligence because he has 5 points in Exhort at the moment. But this Radiant lineup, when OD starts getting a Scythe of Vice, so he has like 120 intelligence, he's gonna just one-shot the Weaver almost from full health. So really something to watch out for here. Weaver has terrible stat gains in general. He gets 1.8 int per level. How much does Lifestealer get? He gets 1.75, so really underwhelming. And CTY is in a good spot. Easily has the best farm on his team. He has to get the job done in the game.
Blink now up for Centaur, and actually an ultimate orb for OD. So I'm assuming it's going to be a blink or blink there. Yep. That would be pretty sick, but going to be a sheep stick. I feel like typically you see the Mystic Staff first, though. So
on OD, perhaps that's like almost the only hero.
Yeah.
You would see that.
Well, that's what I mean. But
a bit tankability here, I think, is good for CTY.
And Weaver on his way to a Lincoln Sphere. Just needs the ultimate orb himself. Of course, that Midas will help quite a bit if he actually uses it on time. Like, good lord, use it! There we go. Good boy. But looking at the net worth, OD, top of the charts. But there's a better spread for LGD, as you guys can see. The top 3 for them are, it's nicely distributed, I guess you could say.
Centaur is really underwhelming in terms of farm. He used so much of his early game being in that top lane and not really accomplishing too much. He could have perhaps jungled a little bit more, so he had some more golden experience here. He's level 8.5, which I guess is okay, but going in toward a mid-late game scenario, I feel like this Centaur is going to be such an easy kill for LGD. When Stampede is on cooldown, he gets open wounds, then he's dead. He does not have tank ability items, does not have... Maybe... This is another thing, looking at LGD's lineup, I think this is an amazing Ghost Scepter game. What do you think?
Yeah, really good against OD. That's...
Oh, sorry, for HGT.
Oh, for HGT, yes. And that against the Lifesteer, always going to be good. Very good against Weaver, too. And Enchantress as well.
And Exort Invoker.
An Exort Invoker, too. So, yeah, Ghost Scepter will be really good for them if they want to pick him up on some of the supports. I don't know who else would really get it other than supports this game. Because on OD, you can no longer actually use your orb through Ghost Scepter, so you can't really abuse that. So, yeah, it could be good on the supports here.
Necro level 2 picked up by Lin. So, once that level 3 comes online, that's going to be quite a bit of mana burn going away on Brewmaster.
A tower push from HGT. 20 minutes.
Well, fortifications, it's popped for LGD. Looks like they want to actually mount a defense. And the Forged Spirits are scaring everybody off. The Hoof Stomp is there, though. And oh my god, the Arcane Orb just cleans them up at 1 hit each. Redonkulous damage. But Armlet of Mordigian. Love seeing this. Ever since that nerf, I just don't see it nearly as often. But, and a lot of times there is an AA in the game, so that might be another reason. Not today, good sirs, not today. But the tower push will be abandoned, I guess, is the best way to put it.
Oh, Rabbit. Oh,
no. Going to miss, but there's the Static Storm. Oh, man. It's not going to be enough lockdown, because it was no lockdown, but here comes the late glimpse. Not sure if they can actually hold him down. Drunken Haze is there as well. Rabbit stuck in the jungle.
Still gonna die.
Thunderclap, time lapse out. God, good God, how many people are here? That was awesome.
Nice kill by HGT, they got him.
Hey, that was actually well executed once the couple of blunders were already placed there. CTY.
That's a haste on... Oh, actually, the haste expires here on DD. CTY could chase here with Force Staff, or just Stampede.
Stampede. There's the heal, of course. Astral Imprisonment.
It's gonna take a while.
This is gonna be the longest 1v1 kill in the history
He's
of
killing him
Mankind.
now.
The hammer.
Sanity's Eclipse, so good. It's so good.
That's one of the most rewarding abilities to use in the game.
It's
when you're having a good game.
I'd say it's one of the most underrated ultis in the game too. People don't talk about it enough.
They don't talk about it enough.
Yeah,
whenever
it's a very interesting thing.
Drop the hammer.
Yeah, they always talk about the hammer. Where's the Sanity's Eclipse?
Exactly, bro. Well, Roshan, is this a possible? Well, of course the death timers are pretty low, so
there's no medallion on the Venge. I think you should get a medallion on Venge. They have a good Roche lineup.
They do.
OD is amazing at taking Roche with Arcane Orb. Minus armor from Venge, Vengeance Aura. They could do it very fast, and I think that's the kind of play HGT needs. Get more out of the map. They've only got kills and farm. No tower, no Roche, 22-minute game with a teamfight lineup. That's just not good enough.
No, it's really not. Roche is very easy for them, like you said, so they could go for that. But right now, they just need to win one team fight, and I think they're going to be able to translate that into a tower.
Are you guys surprised by the dominance from LGD? I mean, they're down in kills, but the gold is just out of control in their favor right now. Vengeful Spirit's going to find
maybe
the Lifestealer, who actually uses open wounds right away. And he will fall back as a result. Oh, Hoof Stomp. Going to destroy those Necronomicons. Holy jeez. But
got him. Oh, they took 150 damage. That's okay.
Yeah, pretty good, pretty good. Of course, it costs 135 mana, which is nothing to scoff at as well. Astral Imprisonment into a Static Storm kinetic field. Lifestealer cannot rage, but a nice telekinesis on ZSMJ is going to keep Lifestealer at harm's way, at least for now. He pops his rage. Infest, I believe, was used. Nope, he actually did die. Impetus destroying Centaur, along with Panda Brewmaster, who did not get his ultimate off in the grand scheme of things. So a 2-for-1 exchange in favor of LGD as they continue this push on the tier 2. And they are going to get it.
Not getting off the split there is absolutely huge for LGD to avoid
What was
that.
used other than the telekinesis to stop his
I
ult?
think Rubik might have hoof stomped him afterwards.
Yeah, he did have Hoof Stomp.
That must have been the way, else I can't imagine him not getting the split off. So he got caught off guard. Surprising that he didn't get a swap or an Astral. Astral was used.
Astral was
so
used on to kill the Lifestealer.
The swap should have been there, perhaps. The Brewmaster is crucial. The ult has to go off. And maybe it's too... I think he blink clapped and wanted to split immediately, but Rubik was on the money there with the telekinesis. Rubik? That's what it's called when he steals the ultimate.
Rubric.
Side of Ice
For stuff sight device. Well, CTY gets his sight device as he talked about, which is huge for him.
This roast is.
And this
They
is an
can't
easy
contest
rush. Yeah. Well, Sanity's eclipses off cooldown. Stampede has such a low cooldown as well, but we haven't actually seen a swap at all, I don't believe, from Vengeful Spirit, which we talked about how important that is this game, and in that fight in particular. But this is a free Roche, and I would assume OD takes this.
Yes.
And he does.
There is. Let's see.
A good attempt from Enchantress try to deny that, but a little bit too late for the tomato.
I think it might backfire on Rabbit that he went Lincolns in this game. BKB is the #1 counter against OD, and now, with the amount of intel he has, what does he have? 123. Weaver has 59. So, what's that in difference? Like 65, almost 70, I think, just off the top of my head. If he starts getting a couple of Astrals off, the Weaver could almost get one shot. The Lincolns does not help him at all. He just needs to take a little bit of damage, then he has to play passive. That doesn't work.
Oh, initiation again. CSMJ does get telekinesis. He's actually going to pop his ult finally, but Invoker's going to be the first casualty in this engagement. DDC on the run. Rubik getting chased by the Brewmaster, the Fire Spirit doing a decent amount of damage, but finally does fall. There's the ridiculous damage from CTY. He's able to get out, but nope. The damage from Mr. Weaver is too much, but of course he did have the Aegis, so it ends up being a 2-for-1 in the grand scheme of things as well, but Astral Imprisonment going to get CTY out of trouble, at least for now, but there's the Lifestealer Bomb, which I mentioned at the very beginning of the game. Very powerful Rabbit. Continuing on, but here comes the Sentry. They're just going to turn on him, but here comes Lifestealer. And there's a huge Sanity's Eclipse along with the Kinetic Field, keeping them out of range. Ridiculous burst damage, but Disruptor might find his way out of here. Oh, the Impetus does so much damage. What is the max? Is it like 550, 600?
Not sure,
max
actually.
damage, something like that. Not able to take him out, but very close to doing so.
That was an amazing hoof stomp coming out from XTT. So Lifestealer popped out of the Infest, and he couldn't get Rage off because he got insta-hoof stomped. Very nicely played by him. The OD ultimate one-shots the Lifestealer when he's like half health, or maybe even 2/3. He just dies, and Weaver with a clutch time lapse at least stayed alive. I thought they both would have died there, but Rabbit, fast on the fingers. The problem here for Rabbit is I think he has to get BKB as his next item. Would you agree? I don't know if he can fight.
Yeah, they have a Hex now on the OD, so if he doesn't have that BKB, he's just going to die instantly, and that's still a problem for him, because then he has no damage at all. So this OD is going to be a major problem for them.
Oh, he just sold his wand, so he's acting pretty quick, I would think.
Shivas. He got the plate mail.
Mithra, who are you talking about?
OD.
Oh, okay. I was talking about Rabbit, so.
Oh, he's also going to get a Shivas.
Yeah.
Well, he is going BKB.
That'd solve his problems for the
I
Sanity's
just saw
Eclipse.
OD got rid of a slot too. I thought. I don't know.
okay.
I thought you were talking about.
Well, actually,
Here
he
comes the
picked up a
plate
Mithril Hammer, so technically it could be a Deso, but you guys think that would
It
be a
is.
mistake,
He
right?
got 2 Mithril.
Oh, he did? Okay. Is that a huge mistake?
It can be.
It's a gamble.
Yeah.
That's the way I want
He
to
has
put
to have
it.
perfect positioning now.
Okay.
I still would prefer the Shivas.
Fear approved the Shivas.
Yeah, then he gets some intel and doesn't
Yeah.
get one shot by
You
the OD.
Shivas and then Sakuchi in, and it's just like an invisible frost.
I wonder how that would look.
How do they ice me?
That would be awesome. Who do we see the point booster on? Find that point booster. Zayori, find it. Okay, so it's on Brewmaster. He's going for the Agnum Scepter next.
I
So
think
not
this is
opting for the BKB, which is probably fine because they don't. Other than telekinesis, not a whole lot to lock him down. So and Disruptor as well. Maybe he clicked on Disruptor first. I don't know now. This is too confusing. If Disruptor gets
And
an Agnum,
Venge has one too.
Oh my God! Another Agnum.
Just kidding. Awful
What a
camera
What
work.
a setup. Flames Zayori.
Oh well. Midas is ready now on OD. That means the Shivas on him is 500 gold off after Midas usage. He's absolutely huge, and the armor from Shivas, it's such a great item on OD, of course. In this game, armor versus Weaver and Lifestealer is incredible. He gets even more intel for his ult, and he's going to transition into what I would expect to be Refresher Orb as his next item, unless if he wants BKB first. And with that, you get double Shivas, so you can keep it running on the enemy team for a very long time. I don't know. LGD got the start they wanted. They could not have asked for a better early game, and I still don't feel like this one's in the bag at all.
Well, if OD
With
gets
a 10k gold lead, this still feels.
when you
even.
see an OD with a refresher, it's just like, what do you do? You know, it's pretty ridiculous. He does finish the Shivas as we talked about. There might be a skirmish top if people aren't too careful, but I wanted to ask Fear before we get into anything what you think about. Oh, we might have to work. Oh,
Nope.
oh, oh! Not gonna happen. Okay, we can continue this conversation as if nothing's happening, but okay, fine. Let's focus on the tier 2, I suppose. Some damage coming out. course, all the ults are online for HGT, so they have a decent amount of initiation possibilities. ZSMJ, more importantly for his ult, just needing to get that off at some point.
And level 2 ult on Venge. I'm not sure you pointed that out. That's a big
Oh,
deal.
oh, he's not able to get the hoof stomp off by XTT. He's going to take the meatball to the face. There's a nice swap, though. Static Storm. ZSMJ trying to get off his ult. Get it off, big boy. And Chantra's the only one to fall so far, as the Panda Brewmasters are going to be focusing on Rabbit. Of course, he has time-lapse still online. Actually, no, he used it. He must have been bursted down originally in the fight.
This creep's going to die. That's
Lifestealer
Lifestealer.
still infested. But Brewmasters, look how fast he's going down in this
Panda's gonna
Deso.
die.
Oh my god, he gets killed! Deso, best item on Weaver. Just gotta say, Fear. Just gotta say, bro.
It's good against Panda's ultimate, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's for damn sure.
That was a I think that was a premature Sanity Eclipse. They need to set it up better than that.
I thought it was a
Centaur-
premature Panda ult, too. He wasn't really any danger at all.
Centaur jumped in and he took the, what was it? He took the telekinesis and maybe a secondary stun from Invoker. That's where the Brewmaster gets a free jump. He has to go in, clap split, immediately set up the team fight, and then OD can follow through. If CTY is the one opening with the Sanity's Eclipse, sure, you do an incredible amount of damage, but if the control isn't there to follow it up, they ran away. I think only Enchantress died.
Okay, so I'm going to ask Fear the question I was wanting to ask. 3 of these heroes on HGT, I feel like, are top 10 Aghanims carriers. It would be Brewmaster, Disruptor, Vengeful Spirit. So I want to talk about Disruptor first. If he's able to get Ags, do you think that is a top 3 Ags purchase in the game?
I mean,
like in the whole game, not just this.
in the whole game.
Yes.
Like
just
it
off the
depends
top
on
of your head.
lineups, really. Like especially teams that like getting BKBs, which there's not gonna be too many BKBs.
Well,
it
let's
looks
just
like an
assume it's like
LGD.
the best case scenario
The
for
best
every
case
hero.
scenario.
Is Disruptor up there for you?
Not
I know
really, to
Cinder
be
is.
honest with you. I think it has to have really good setup. Otherwise, it's quite lackluster. I don't know if it's one of the top ones. Gyros is obviously number 1.
So good.
No, I don't know. I actually don't have a favorite. I think Pandas is up there. I think the old Aghanims upgrade was better than the new one, personally, because you get longer duration. I think it made your Panda stronger as well.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. Like, I don't have a favorite Ags upgrade. I think all of them are very situational. Other than Visage, I think he has probably one of the best.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
I think Visage is indeed one of the
Tiny,
best.
pretty good. Have a little shout out there.
Tiny's is also better. So yeah, no, it's not top 3 for me.
Top 10 then.
Yeah, sure.
Excellent.
Vengeful Spirit.
Got your point across. You got a lot of backup on your statement. That's good. That's what you wanted.
It's so good.
It can be very good. I think it's very situational though.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
why I don't like it.
Fair
so
enough.
much.
Fair enough, good sir. XTT. Sitting by a dire war. Actually, yeah, there's a sentry and an observer there. A wolf's going to scout him out and get destroyed.
Okay.
Not sure what that was all about. A sacrifice to the
scout wolf.
gods. A sacrifice to Ice Frog or something to those means. But SNY picked up by Lifestealer. So going the true race car build. Is that the right choice this game, you guys feel?
I think he needs an MKB this game, just because he is playing against the Brewmaster. If they do lock him down, he can kill him. And if his rage does go down and he gets the Drunken Haze on him, when Panda does get his Aghanims up, he's not going to be able to hit anything. So, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of it this game, but it's alright.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't know how good the SNY is going to be. I think that the way these team fights are going to go down, it's not as much about mobility as it's about staying alive and bursting. They need to kill heroes fast, because in extended engagements, I think HGT just have the better team fight lineup like we talked about. So mobility might not be the best choice. But then again, perhaps he has to be mobile, because there isn't really a good infest mechanism for him to get into the fight.
Weaver.
So yeah, that's great. Run in the
Ghost
Weaver, get
walk.
hexed, and just die. There is the
walk.
BKB for Rabbit. Big pickup.
All right, well, he's actually getting a lot more farm than we originally thought. So not long after this, picking up the BKB, so doing decently well. Of course, they have the huge gold lead.
I don't feel that lead.
You don't feel it?
I don't
No.
feel a 14k lead in this
Me
game.
either.
It feels like a 5k at best, and then it's about the
Oh,
initiation.
Stampede. ZSMJ does get the Thunderclap off. Actually, Static Storm wasted along with the Kinetic Field. They might have to back up here if they're not careful, but Panda does pop his ult, so they're going to go aggressive. Nice Whirlwind on the Lifestealer. Vengeful Spirit almost goes down, but a nice Astral Imprisonment to keep him alive, at least for now. Has a swap online. Actually, no, sorry, he actually used that. BKB popped by Rabbit. Rubik is the first to fall, along with the Vengeful Spirit finally falling after getting very, very low. ZSMJ did not die for the first time in his Panda ult. Cannot get off his Thunderclap. Poor Panda. Poor Panda. That cold snap is just the bane of your existence. So 2 for 1, big time in favor of LGD, as HGT falls back to their base.
This
And
is
yeah, Rubik's up in 1 minute, guys. Or 30 seconds. The infamous Rubik in the pit.
this is these team fights for me are just confusing from HGT. I don't think they're executing their team fight lineup so well. They, like you said, the static storm was kind of wasted. They swapped someone in, and then he was actually not even in the storm. Did not manage to catch out one of the key targets. And the Brewmaster ultimate, we're just, I feel like we're spoiled because we're used to see performances like Air and DDZ on Brewmaster, who are just absolute phenomenal Brewmaster players. ZSMJ's micro has not been up to par with theirs, and we just see it in that fight. They didn't even get the OD ult off, which just means they didn't have any sort of setup.
Yeah, everyone was just magic immune that fight, and so OD was just running around, what do I do, guys? And by the time all the magic immunity went down, they lost the team fight. So it's, as the BKB goes down on Weaver, they will have the option to win team fights more handedly, but I think they just need to get the initiation more than anything.
So you're saying you guys don't feel the gold lead here as XCT's going to TP out. Look at the net worth. So OD's top of the charts, but then this is just like the beginning of the, like 20 minutes ago. Feels exactly the same. You have 3 very high net worths for LGD, and then there's a huge drop-off for everybody else in the game. So you don't feel like these 3 cores for LGD can take this against an OD and then a not-so-farm rest of the team. I mean, Brewmaster, look how far down he is.
They definitely can.
They can. But I think for the most part, they just have so much control for HGT that LGD doesn't really have. OD is one of those heroes that can instantly kill all 3 of those heroes if he gets farmed enough. So it's about the right team fight, I feel.
Well, they're going to be
kind of
looking for the
amazing
setup
to see that with a 17,000 goal lead, we feel like it's an even game. That just means the composition, the way it's put together, just favors HGT with the gold. Overall, though, when these heroes on the Radiant start getting really big, I'm surprised to see LGD. I don't think they're going to base push. They're just going to keep farming the map. They know they have the Midas advantage. They know they have better late game overall. OD is amazing, but can he really do this in late game against a Lifestealer Invoker and a Weaver?
Right, and you're talking about Brewmaster falling off quite a bit. His presence just hasn't been felt either, like at all. The ultimate's just been, he got killed once and almost killed the second time, but was cleaned up very shortly afterwards. So
yeah, the Weaver with that Desolator can like instantly kill that Fire Panda like from the get-go, and then he loses a lot of his like presence in these team fights.
Well, Oblivion Staff onto CTY, so working towards that refresher, I do believe. Unless he wants to go for a 40-minute Orchid, which I highly doubt, but hey, you never know, I guess. Rabbit looking very farmed, 3,200 gold. What does he go for next? You talked about MKB on Lifestealer. Perhaps Rabbit picks that up for himself? What do you guys think?
Yeah, it could be. I think it's a good pickup for him, too, if he wants to go for that Monkey King bar. He can go for pretty much anything he wants at this point, but I think MKB is probably his best bet, in my opinion.
And OD with the refresher. I like this choice from CTY, not going BKB here. I think a lot of players would go BKB just to be able to deal with a couple of the abilities from the Radiant, especially now that Invoker has a Hex. But I think it's the right call for CTY to go full-out damage. He's actually going to get the refresher now. They're going to go all in. He will be buying that ult. Forces the BKB here.
Not sure Rabbit can actually pick anybody off, and with that BKB usage, I don't think they want to fight. So, or do they? I mean, DDC is here. He's in Viz. Not too scared, though. I mean, with that OD, we actually have telekinesis into a Sunstrike, not at all into the Sunstrike, actually. DDC getting stunned on the back end. Another static storm, not to great use, though.
Oh my god, the damage.
The Sanity's Eclipse just destroys Rubik. Another one placed, but, well, Brewmaster ult's doing a decent amount of work. CTY on the run. Nice sheep stick onto Yao. Gets him to about half HP, but the aggression is just all from LGD. There's the open wound. CTY is going to Astral Prison himself, but it's not going to save him for too long. A nice Brewmaster Whirlwind on the Lifestealer, but again, CTY is just donezo. Rabbit dealing so much damage along with the Cold Snap. You're seeing the Infest come into play. Hoof Stomp onto Lin, but XCT just runs away right after the fact. And he's not even going to get away. The nice Ghost Walk. So 4 dead in LGD's favor, and they can continue to push this.
Yeah.
And GG's are called. Boy, oh boy.
They went all in on that. They know they're going to lose 2 lanes of racks because the Weaver's already in the base with the Deso. There's a 60-second on OD and 50 on Centaur. I'm not sure what to say. I think overall LGD, great early game performance. Then the game stalled out a little bit. HGT were not able to take the team fights they were looking for with their lineup. Is it fair to say that in the team fights they just got kited and then their abilities expired?
I think it was just sloppy engagement for the most part.
Yes.
Like, they didn't put it together. Like, one person would go in, Venge, I don't know what happened with her, she just like instantly died in the corner. Not there for a defensive swap on whoever needs it.
We didn't see almost, I think we saw maybe one good swap that saved somebody's life, but other than that, it just wasn't there. And he got decent levels, he got decent farm on the VS, which is something you can't always say, obviously.
Yeah. I don't know. They just couldn't put their lineup together. We favored it, but I felt like just the laning phase was a big problem for them. Lifestealer just got way too much.
Do you feel like they could have? I know you talked about them rotating it too much on that lane, but do you think they could have gotten a kill on the Lifestealer with the Disruptor initiating things? Of course, there is the Rage, but
it would have been really hard because the Rage does dodge Magic Missile. It does dodge Glimpse as well, so it's not easy to get him. But I think you can control the lane a lot better, so he doesn't get as much experience, and more importantly, farm in that lane.
Yeah, I think normally when you see a triple Midas, it gets punished a lot harder than that, but they completely got away with it. Not only did they get away with the triple Midas, but they kind of won the laning phase, I guess you could say, at the very least.
They did.
Broke even, yeah, I guess
they definitely won the laning
won
phase,
pretty hard, and Midas is included. So that, to me, kind of summed up the game. They did well in the team fights, but they just had such a huge gold lead. Even if they took a bad team fight, they could always just revert back to playing passive, farming up, and they could recoup whatever they lost in a bad team fight.
I feel like it's just one of those games where it's not typical where you see Brewmaster have almost no impact on the game. And
it's not that he was counterpicked either.
Right, that's the thing. Like, even if he was counterpicked, you still have a decent, I mean, depending on the lineup, obviously. Mid-game is where you really shine for Brewmaster. It just never came to fruition for HGT.
Yeah, I mean, he never got an Ag Scepter. He was only about halfway there by the time.
Well, even if he did, I mean, like Fear mentioned, the Aghanim Scepter is great, but the old one, I don't know if I call it better, but in certain situations it did, because it did buff up the pandas themselves. The problem in that game was they were getting destroyed to the right clicks.
Yeah, I mean, when Weaver's that farmed with the Desolator Lifestealer as well, if you have the right click heroes, I don't feel like Panda's ult really does too much, especially if you don't get off the... For me, always Panda's like what you can get done in your first two Panda ultimates. If they're not very good, which his were not, I think this first one was on bottom lane, it was like more of a defensive Panda more than anything. And you can't really do that with your first Panda. You have to get something done. Usually you want to fight around their tier 1s, get some kills, force a tower with that, but it was just completely defensively used by a tier 2 of his own, and I felt like that hurt them a ton.
Yeah, and like we talked about with the Blink Dagger and Brewmaster being picked up after Arcane Boots, I think Andrew raises a pretty important point here. They went triple Midas, so the fact that they have a 7,500 gold lead, when there's 2,000 gold of that on 3 heroes invested into Midas, it's an effective 1,500 gold lead they have at that point. HGT have a lineup that can team fight. They waited with trying to push their first tier 1 until like 20 minutes in.
Yes.
Punish the Midas, be like, okay, cut our losses. We lost 4 towers. We still have the better team fight. Go out, force the issue, get something done. Your OD was incredibly strong in this game, but he never got the space, or he did get the space, but there was just not enough control in the fights. And with that little bit of extra gold, so maybe Brewmaster gets his Ag Scepter, maybe Venge gets a little more survivability with the Ghost Scepter we talked about, could have made a difference. Maybe Disruptor finishes the Ags or gets a mobility item for himself, like a Force Staff against Lifestealer. This extra gold that they could have got for getting 3 or 4 towers, I think, could have swung the game in HGT's favor, because they were playing it evenly in fights with a 15k gold deficit. If that one is 5 or 10k, I think they pull the game back.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a few times where that Disruptor set up a couple of really nice kills, Glimpse into a Static Storm kinetic field, secured a kill on the Weaver once or twice, and I think the Lifestealer. And I feel like there just wasn't enough of that. There were a lot of times where Disruptor's running around with an ultimate available, and that's a potential kill time when you can lock down
a lot of Static Storms.
like a Weaver.
You're right. A couple of them were good, and then after that, we saw 0 of them.
Yeah, it
that
just fell off. Yeah. So, all right, we've got some updated standings here. That puts LGD securing their #1 spot now, 7-1, and they're in the green, which means they are definitely in the top 4, and I believe they are secured top 1 now. Maybe something can still wiggle. DT is now 5-2 in second place, and third is all tied up with 3 teams, 4-3. Tong Fu, CIS, and actually LGD, CDEC are 4-3 right now.
They won 2 games.
Yeah, and this pushes HGT down to 4-4, so they're actually knocked down to 6th place temporarily. But we see some of these LGD, CDEC in particular, making a run for the top 4 potentially.
Yeah,
It's a really big surprise for me.
Yeah, I'm surprised too.
And CMB, it looks like they lost another game. They are now 0-7, so
that's not so big a surprise.
Yeah, certainly not. Now, New Element and Speed Gaming are also tied up in the 7th slot, both 3-4. So not looking so good for those 2 teams, but with 4 losses, I guess there's still a chance you could maybe in a tie-break scenario make it into the top 4. So things are getting interesting. And are there still other matches going on right now on the other streams? I don't have a monitor here. That was a relatively lengthy one. I don't even have.
This
a
is
schedule.
Conrad.
Conrad,
all day,
what's
every
coming
day.
up next? You have a schedule, good sir. Okay, so CIS versus Dreamtime will be the next match up
That
on
should be
this
really
stream.
good, actually.
And
That should
yeah,
be really
actually, with DT #2 and CIS tied for 3rd place right now, that's a pretty big one. It could secure DT's 2nd place, or it could secure CIS a place in the top 4, I think. So things getting interesting. Who's going to be casting that, Conrad? Oh, master of the schedule. AC and
Merlini.
Merlini will doing some coverage. So that's it for you guys. Are you guys headed upstairs coming up next on
Yes.
BTS2? All right. Awesome. So we'll have a short break per usual, guys. And I think we've got a special video to queue up, right? Is that what's happening here?
Cinderwen eats food every day in America.
Okay. So yeah, a little bit of a short intro for that. This actually been delayed quite a bit because Connor has been absolutely awful at getting that organized.
Conrad.
Okay, Conrad and Brian can take the shared blame for that. But I am, of course, an alien in the US, so I have had to try out various foods. So without further ado, here comes the first episode of Cinderen's Culinary Report.
And by 1 second means like
Switch
10
to another
minutes when
screen,
Conrad gets to it.
All right, we're done.
All right, it's coming up soonish.
Soonish, and then we'll have another game here on BTS1. Remember, guys, be on summit.tv to find the NA Hub, all the streams, BTS2, 3, and the High Ground TV stream. Everyone's leaving. Cinderen's back. We're still waiting on Cinderen Eats. Okay, we're good.